Russia may well seek to evade the sanctions. In 2014, when Russia invaded Ukraine the first time, Russia went to China seeking help, but it turned out Chinese companies and banks did much more business with the West than with Russia, and so they were unwilling to provide the kind of help that Russia wanted. India also has a huge amount of economic stake in relations with the West. So I think Russia is going to be disappointed. And besides, the role of the dollar is so great in international transactions, over 80% or so, that it won't be easy for Russia to evade Western sanctions.
What do you think is going to happen next then? So what is the most important thing that we should be looking out for at this point?
It'll be interesting to see whether Russia does try to reposition forces in Ukraine or actually withdraws forces. That if it does come to withdrawal, that could be a sign that Russia wants to find peace sooner rather than later. So we have to look at those forces. And then secondly, let's see what kind of negotiating terms are under discussion. And those are likely to shift a fair amount, in part depending on battlefield conditions, and in part depending on the bite of the Western economic sanctions on Russia.
I also wanted to ask you about any potential diplomatic off-ramp here for President Putin. We have heard some in the West saying that it's going to be impossible for countries to continue to engage with Russia, given what's played out with Ukraine over the past month. Your thoughts on President Putin's future?
There is not much possibility for a diplomatic off-ramp without a fundamental retreat by Russia. In some sense, the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis was similar. There was some diplomacy involved, but fundamentally, Premier Khrushchev retreated, pulled the nuclear forces back out of Cuba, and all ships headed to Cuba. Putin will have to make some difficult decisions, or the Kremlin, with or without Putin, will have to make difficult decisions. Again, because not only are their forces having trouble in Ukraine, but the Western economic sanctions are so powerful. So in order to improve the Russian economy, Russia's going to have to make some concessions.